Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a video for all of my pumping moms out there about all of my essentials that I use while pumping and also how I was able to increase my milk supply. So I'm gonna get right into it and I'm gonna give you first a little backstory on my pumping experience. So I have an almost 6-month-old now who I was fully planning on exclusively breastfeeding, but she had a different plan and she never latched. So I've been pumping with her the entire time, almost made it to 6 months, which I'm very excited about. And if you pump as well, you know that it is a struggle and it can be very hard. And there were many times that I wanted to give up and just go to formula and not pump anymore. And I'm really glad that I didn't. And I wanted to share some of the things that I use that have helped me to keep pumping and not give up. So hopefully I can help someone out there who might be experiencing the same thing. So first, I'm just gonna talk about having a pumping schedule because the most important thing to having a good supply is having a pumping schedule, which I also think is the hardest thing about pumping because when you have a baby, it is very hard to stick to a schedule every day because babies can be so unpredictable. So when I first started out pumping, which was actually in the hospital because my daughter was not latching, I was trying to pump about 8 times in a 24-hour span because that's what they recommend you do in those beginning weeks to establish your supply. So I do highly recommend that. I'm gonna tell you that in those first few weeks, there were times where I did not get up for my pumps in the middle of the night if my daughter would sleep a couple hours stretch. The sleep deprivation was so real and I was so burned out that I just wanted to sleep. And so I would skip some of my pumps in the middle of the night. That's a huge mistake and don't do that if you can help it because those middle of the night pumps and especially the pumps in the beginning few weeks are going to establish your supply. So if you want a good supply and what is enough for your baby, you really do want to get those pumps in the beginning. So that is kind of what I would say in general to aim for is those 8 pumps a day. And that's going to establish your supply. I now pump about 4 to 5 times a day. I've totally dropped my nighttime pumps because my daughter is sleeping through the night and I just don't really want to mess with my sleep. I really like my sleep right now. So I dropped my nighttime pumps and I'm pumping 4 to 5 times during the day. Usually it'll end up being more around 4 times a day just because it's hard to sometimes squeeze the 5th pump in. I have a very clingy baby right now, which I love, but I cannot put her down for extended periods of time during the day. So it's hard for me to fit those pumps in. So just do what you can after your supply is established. It kind of just becomes a supply and demand, which you've probably heard other moms say, but what's gonna keep up your supply truly is just how many times a day you're pumping. So the more that you are draining the milk from your boobs, the more milk you're gonna get essentially. So try to just aim for whatever works for you. Figure out the schedule that you wanna have. I pump first thing in the morning after I feed her, and then I pump in the afternoon, and then I pump mid-afternoon, kind of getting into evening time, and then I pump right before I go to bed. That's kind of the schedule that I stick to. So just try to find a pumping schedule that works for you and that you feel kind of fits your routine. So what I'm gonna get into is mainly just the essentials for pumping and what's kind of gonna help you out during this journey. So the first thing that I'm gonna talk about is just having your heavy duty pump. So this is my heavy duty pump that I got from my insurance when I was pregnant. And I just stuck with this. I did not do any research on pumps when I was pregnant because I was fully planning on breastfeeding, which was another mistake I made. So I do recommend doing some research on pumps, figuring out if there's a pump that you might like and having it on hand because you really never know what's gonna happen and if you might need it. But this is the one I used in the very beginning all the way up until about probably 3 months. And it is the Medela Pump and Style. It's kind of musty and dusty now because I don't use it anymore. But it obviously comes with the tubes that you plug in here and then your 2 bottles that you hold onto your boobs. And honestly, this worked great for me those first few months. It's what helped me establish my supply. I used this again around 8 times a day in the beginning was what I would try for. And it has a nice little button here that you can press that's gonna get your letdown going, and then you can switch to the different modes and higher suctions that it has. It's overall a very simple pump, so it's very easy to use. There's not a lot that goes into it. It doesn't have a ton of buttons on it, which may be something that you like. Again, I haven't tried any other heavy duty like main pumps besides this one, so I can't really compare it, but I did like this in the beginning and I did use it. The reason that I stopped using it was just because I didn't want to be attached to wires and like plugged into the wall, which I'll get into in a little bit, but in the beginning I really liked this and it worked great. So you might want to give it a try. Honestly, I would recommend giving a few different pumps a try just to figure out what works best for you. So again, I'll have this link below if you want to check it out too. The next thing that I'm going to talk about, and this is for sure an essential that I still use, so I highly recommend having this if you are pumping, and that's a hand pump. This is again the Medela. I believe this one's called the Harmony, but I'll have everything linked. This is awesome when you just want to pump really quickly and drain your boobs as fast as you can if you're on the go. A lot of the times I'll like take this out to me if I'm going to be out for a few hours and may need to pump in that time. But also if I'm just at home and I don't have the time to sit for like 20 minutes and pump, I'll just use this and it's really great. So a feature that I like on it is obviously this front part right here. That's what you're gonna use to get your letdown going, and then once you have your letdown, you're gonna use this side of it. And a little trick that I saw, I'm pretty sure I saw it on TikTok, but is after you get your letdown, while your letdown is happening, if you hold this part in for like 5 seconds or however long you want to, and then you let go, it's gonna drain your boob so fast. So when I do that and I use that trick, I can get a full pump in probably like 5 minutes less. Probably less than 5 minutes, honestly. So this is great for on the go. I wouldn't recommend using this for every single pump during the day because I do feel like when I do that, my supply goes down a little bit. I'm not sure what the reason for that is, but I do feel like the other pumps drain a little bit better and they really do get every single drop out. Whereas when I'm using this, I kind of feel like I have some left over sometimes, or it just doesn't get everything the same way, and it doesn't have as strong of a suction as the other ones do. But this is great just to have on hand, and I highly recommend having this. The next thing I'm going to talk about is my favorite thing that I'm going to talk about, and that is having some kind of portable pump. So I'm just gonna say, having a portable pump has changed my life. I'm gonna get into it and show you kind of how I use it and which one I use. But I had always seen people on like Instagram and stuff using these portable pumps that you just put in your bra and then being hands-free and like doing whatever you want. And I was like, okay, I really have to get a hold of one of those. But the problem is that the ones I was looking at were so expensive, like very, very expensive. And I was like, okay, realistically, I'm not gonna spend that kind of money just to have a hands-free pump. It wasn't worth it to me. It might be worth it to you, but it just wasn't for me. So I did a little bit of research. I went on Amazon and I found the portable pump that I currently use. And it is the Mom Cozy brand. So this is what it looks like. It's very used, so please excuse that, but this is what it looks like. I have the Mom Cozy S12. They have a couple different ones that they make, so you have options if you're looking at it. These things have changed my life, and I could not recommend anything else more if you're pumping than this, or any kind of portable pump, but I really do love these ones. So this was the brand that I found that had the best reviews on Amazon for the price point that I was looking for. I believe 2 of these together is about like 120 or 130 when I bought them. You can also buy just one at a time, and I believe they're like 60 each. So these are amazing. You just charge them when they run out of battery. The battery lasts for me an entire day of pumping, and then I'll usually just charge it at night. So it lasts a long time, and then I'll show you the different kind of features it has on it. But basically, you have your power button that you just turn on. And then it has a timer right here, which is awesome because it tells you how many minutes you've been pumping for. And it will automatically shut off at 30 minutes, which is super nice because I usually like to pump for 30 minutes. And then all you have is a plus and minus button here that is gonna control your suction. It goes up to a level of 9, which is a very high suction. I never go higher than a 3 on my suction because it just hurts if I go higher. So you can control your suction and do what's best for you. And then you have a little button right here where you can change the mode. And basically you can go between your regular pumping mode and then a massage mode. The massage mode I typically will do right at the end of my pump because it's supposed to be really good for getting every drop out and just really draining your breast. So that's what I like to do. That is how I use it. It's super easy to use. You literally just click that off and just put it back on when you want to pump, and that's it. And then you just stick them in your bra like this and you're good to go. I don't find that they fall out super easily either, which is one of the main things that I was kind of wary about when I was buying these. Was I figured that if I did anything they would just fall out, but they really don't. They stay in. You got to make sure you get them at the right angle, of course, and kind of line them up correctly, but when you do that, they're amazing and they work so well. I have the highest milk output when I use these. So even if I compare it to my pump-in style, I get more milk when I use these than when I use the pump-in style. So this is my main pump now. This is the pump that I use every single day for every single pump. And it's incredible and I highly recommend it. You can also buy inserts for it if this flange size does not fit you. You can buy inserts to just put in here to make it fit you properly. And it's easy to wash. It does not come with a lot of parts, so it's very easy to put together and take apart. And I honestly can't say enough good things about this. I highly recommend you check this out. If you don't already have a portable pump, this is amazing. And I have not tried any of the other portable pumps, so I can't compare it to the more expensive ones. I'm sure those ones work great too. So this is more so if you're just looking for a dupe, honestly, for that, or for a portable pump that is in your price range. This is the way to go. I would recommend the Mom Cozy 100%. So this is my favorite thing out of everything that I'm going to talk about. I love these and I really do recommend that you get yourself some of these. So the next little thing I'm going to talk about is pretty basic, but it is essential when you are pumping, and that's water. I'm sure you have heard this many, many times, but water is going to build your supply and keep your supply. I'm really bad at this still. I really don't take my water intake very seriously, and it's something that I'm trying to work on. It's very hard if you're a mom, to prioritize yourself and to stay hydrated. So I just recommend keeping a water bottle by you at all times. That's what I try to do. And just be mindful of how much you're drinking and when you're filling it up. Something else that I like to do is these little packets. I don't have any with me, but I'll link them below. They are little hydration packets that I just pour into my water. They're supposed to really help with hydration and hydrate you faster than if you just drank a little bottle of water. So I'll link those too because I really like them, and I notice when I do them consistently that I do have more milk. So water is a huge thing when pumping. The next two things I'm going to talk about kind of go with the whole building your supply issue. So in my pumping experience, I have had many phases where my supply dips. I've had phases where it almost pretty much has dried up completely. So I use specifically two things to help with my supply when that is happening. Now, I'm gonna preface it by saying that there is no magic food or magic pill that you can take to increase your supply. And I wish there was, but it just doesn't work like that. So these things may not work for you that I mentioned. It's just something that they have worked for me and have helped me in those times where I'm like desperate and I need something. So the first thing I'm gonna talk about is Brewers Yeast. And this is something that I had never heard of before I was pumping, so you might not have heard of it either. But this is what it comes like. It's basically a supplement that you add to your food. So this brand specifically, I really like. I got it from Amazon and it's a very clean brand. The only ingredient in it is Brewers Yeast powder. It's an all natural brand and it is made specifically for mothers who are nursing or breastfeeding. So even if you're not pumping, this is great when you're breastfeeding. So basically, if you've seen people make lactation cookies, it's like all over the internet. This is what they add to those lactation cookies, and it's the main ingredient that is for your milk supply. So I don't really make cookies with this, but I do add it to a lot of different things. I put it in my oatmeal almost every morning. I try to every morning. You can make smoothies with this. It says you can even add it to your soups, your salads, pretty much any food you're eating, you can add this in. I will say, it doesn't have necessarily a taste to it, but it does have a very strong smell. So when you start using it, you're gonna wanna start off pretty slow, only adding a little bit. I usually put 1 to 2 teaspoons. If I go more than that, it's not good. So start off small, see how you like it and react to it. Make sure you mix it in really well to whatever you're putting it into. But this thing is awesome, and when I stay consistent with this, and I use it every day, for instance, in my oatmeal, I absolutely notice an increase in my supply as opposed to when I don't use it. So what I normally try to do is have it every single morning for about a week, and then I'll take a few days off, and then every single day for a week, and then a few days off. So that's the schedule I like to use with this, and I have found truly that it does make a difference. So get yourself some Brewers Yeast. That's gonna be a big helper. The next and last little thing I'm gonna show you is these little pills by the brand Legendary Milk. They're called Sunflower Lecithin, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm not quite sure. But these are essentially for if you have milk clogs or mastitis. I've never gotten mastitis, and I really do attribute that to these pills, because anytime I feel a clog, if I miss a pump or if something happens and I feel a clog, I immediately start taking these, and I'll take one about every 4 hours for an entire day, and I will wake up the next morning and my clog will be gone. So I've had an incredible experience with this. I have never gotten mastitis. My clogs have never turned into mastitis because I'm consistent with these when I do feel the clog. And then something else that I noticed that they do is, because when you get clogs, your milk tends to kind of get built up in there, so your supply can decrease for a little bit. So when I take these, I find that it really helps to like open up my ducts and helps the milk come through too. So I love these, and I do recommend getting a bottle of these just to have on hand, even if you're doing fine and you don't get clogged ducts or mastitis. You never know what's gonna happen. So just having these handy is a very good idea, I think. So I love these, and I will link them below as well. So that is pretty much everything. That's all my essentials that I use for pumping. One last thing that I'm going to mention is just to try to always stay as stress-free as possible. I know that's really hard to say when you have a baby, but stress really does deplete your milk. And I've had so many moments where I get really worked up and then I wake up the next morning and I have no milk. So if you can just try your best to kind of maintain your stress and keep an eye on it. I know it can be hard, but just trying your best with that, that's a huge tip that I think will definitely help your milk supply and help you to maintain it. So I just wanted to mention that for anyone that didn't know that stress can affect your milk, and it can. So those are all of my pumping essentials, my pumping must-haves, and the little things I use to kind of help me build my supply when I need it. So I hope this was helpful for any of you who are maybe starting out in your pumping journey or struggling in your pumping journey. And I just want to say that moms who pump or breastfeed or however you feed your baby, you guys are all amazing. And I hope that you keep going at it, because it really is a great experience, and I'm so glad that I stuck with it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below, please, if you have any other tips for milk supply and maintaining your milk supply. And I will see you guys in the next video.